Welcome back to Reducing School Violence. You are in the midst of your persuasive simulation, attempting to persuade each other in your assigned stakeholder roles to adopt the program that you have designed in this course, or at least parts of that program. You know, the first week I gave you a bit of leeway to read the syllabus and become comfortable with an online simulation. For many of our students, it's a bit awkward to attempt a role-play simulation online, but I'm happy you rose to the occasion because, frankly, in our world today, with social media, many of us do our NCRP practice and communication online. So this is a wonderful experience about how an actual persuasion might take place in a school. Now, the trick, the art to doing simulations is to play yourself and share your opinions, your perspectives as you're embracing your character, whatever role you've been given. But you must embrace, you know, as you would if you were an actor, an actress on stage. You must attempt to get to know your character. Imagine what they might be thinking, what they might be feeling, and really take the role on as your own. And don't worry about sharing as yourself with your own identity, your own cultural background. That's exactly what makes a simulation rich. Now, I have been encouraging you to practice NCRP skills from your current NCRP toolbox. I am imagining at this point in your education, all of you have had negotiation tactics, so you're well prepared to do interest analysis with each stakeholder, as well as mediation. So you've learned hopefully in mediation, perhaps also in communication and conflict, to reframe, listen actively, ask excellent questions, gather information. If you look at your final assignment in the syllabus, you will see that you are being asked to show me how you're able to apply these NCRP tools in critical applied analysis, with a focus on understanding the perspectives of the other stakeholders in the simulation. So in order to have the material you need, you must be actively working with me. And the first two lectures that I gave on this persuasive simulation, I laid out the groundwork to help you do your best on your final project as well as in the simulation. If you haven't yet done what I have asked you to do, I would encourage you to catch up this week as you are preparing the draft and posting the draft of your final paper for feedback. And next week I will be giving some additional tips to help you earn the greatest credit possible. Honestly, my priority is that you learn and practice the power of all of these skills in a school setting. And that is why I asked you to start with a real world school and to do a real needs assessment as the basis of your second paper. You know, everything that you are reading and doing in this course comes alive only when you grapple with the real world facts. You know, anyone can read the reading that I'm giving you. At least graduate students who are highly literate can read the reading. But it takes a sophisticated, critical mind to actively assess which of these tools are needed first and most in this school system. What has the most potential for winning over the members of this school system? That's the kind of in-depth critical analysis I'm looking for. Now, I've presented some of the tools, suggesting them the last two lectures. This week, I would like to focus on a few more. And I would like to continue to share with you what has already been introduced to you in your assigned reading, the research on what the best negotiators do, some of their practices. The best negotiators, at least in one research study, zealously search for common ground. So I would like to encourage you, if you have not yet identified common ground, common interest, to do so this week. They use that common ground as well as the interests that they've identified and hopefully reviewed with the parties in question to assure that the parties agree with the interest identification analysis. They use these to frame collaborative, open-ended questions to help stimulate and generate options for mutual gain. These are how can we questions, open-ended and collaborative. For example, how can we best reduce school violence while satisfying the parents' need to be involved? So I've combined a couple of different interests to create that question. Let me do it again with a hypothetical common ground. Let's say the common ground here is the most cost-efficient approach. So the question might be, what are the least costly options we have to advance conflict resolution in our school? After you have created a few collaborative questions, I would encourage you to generate options for mutual gain. Now, in a complex negotiation like the one you're involved with, you may create some options that satisfy a couple of parties' interests. For example, the students and the teachers in the classroom. That's fine. You might also create options that satisfy everyone and advance their interests. That is mutual gain. Now, I'm available as always if you have questions about how to do this, but it is, if you look in the index of Holding These Truths, you're going to find a great deal of material and activities to help you. The other thing I want to talk about this week is agenda setting. Oftentimes, our students are quite skilled once they're in our program and have had a few classes at active listening. They're particularly skilled at paraphrasing. Many are sincere, empathetic listeners, but they struggle with beginning creative problem solving, which is the critical next step or second half of what happens in a negotiation, a mediated negotiation. Agenda setting is a nice tool to help you transition. And once again, your reading has introduced this. I'm just going to stress and reiterate. Too often, our students and the world at large starts with the most important and difficult issues first. Not recommended. Instead, I would ask you to flip that around and ask yourself, where are the areas that are most likely to result in easy agreement? So start with the easiest issues first. Now, sometimes these are the issues about how you're going to do the conflict resolution training. You're going to use teacher in-service days. These are all the easy agreements, but they build momentum, so don't discount or ignore them. They build critical momentum in the real world. And the other suggestion I would have is to examine your issues in terms of building blocks. What issues, if resolved and agreed upon, might build a foundation to move forward? So build a stronger collaborative base. Well, I hope this helps you in your final week of your persuasive simulation. I would like to be a part of giving you feedback with the papers you post this week. Please remember the learning outcomes as well as the grading rubric are what I use to grade and evaluate your papers. You should be actively editing and evaluating your papers with both. Good luck. Have a great week.